Welcome to this week's Long Story Short, which is all about Shadow Tactics, a game about 5 serial killers let loose upon Edo, Japan, their countless victims, and the mass graves that they leave behind. Stealth.
Nasty surprise. Bird's voice. Oh, that's wake up, little June.
Who made the...
Depending on the mission, you have access to some or all of the 5 unique characters, so that you may kill people in a variety of ways, from stabbing them with a hairpin, to grenades, and shurikens.
No noise, got it.
The game is a big fan of, if you don't succeed the first time, try again. And I have to say that the F8 button has not been used so often in the entire history of my computer. So, if you mess up, which you inevitably will, don't worry, game has your back. Just press that button and try one more time.
Stick and stab. Rat's tooth. Stick and stab.
The game does have a system to queue up actions, however it is quite restrictive in that only one action can be queued up at a time per character. I oftentimes found myself doing it out of reflex with the help of the quick load, and it yielded better results.
This is fun.
The way difficulty is implemented is problematic in 2 ways. Firstly, the lower you go in difficulty, the more you can play it like an action as opposed to a stealth game. The view cones, area of noise, and the AI don't really change that much, so taking the stealthy approach has about the same difficulty on all of the difficulties. Secondly, even on hardcore, a lot of the times it feels like you are untangling a mess of wires. You have to be methodical and patient. This is one of my primary complaints about the game. I have done 9 out of probably 12 chapters, and I have finished them on hardcore. It has not been that difficult in the sense of tactics. Towards the end it started feeling more and more repetitive. It did introduce new mechanics once in a while, however they were not enough to hold my interest. This however has to be taken with a grain of salt, as this is probably the furthest I have ever gotten into a stealth game. From about the 5th chapter onwards, I experienced what can only be described as the audio form of Chinese water torture. Namely, every time the enemies would lose aggro, the last line of dialogue would be repeated again. Needless to say, this was incredibly frustrating, and part of the reason why I didn't finish the game. The other reason being that a chart of my productivity this week would look like something you would use to describe the financial crisis.
We will worry about them later. First,
Certain you saw something?
Hi. I found 2 ways.
Life can be a marvelous teacher, yet some things only show themselves when others point them out to you.
Takuma-sama.
Will you let me show you how it works, Yuki-chan?
You mean like a sensei?
If that is what you want, Yuki-chan.
Really? Yes! Yes, I want that!
Who would have
To
thought?
the game's credit, the characters are likable and human, the story interesting enough to actually warrant spoiler warnings, and if slow-paced stealth sounds like your cup of tea, you should probably give it a try. Just be sure you won't be hearing too much about life being a marvelous teacher, or you might be the one who ends up committing Sudoku.